Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 3 Principles Psychology Town Hall meeting, and welcome to 2025 as well, though I hope it turned out to be your best one yet. Keith and I have been talking, and we were thinking about what we could talk about today, and thinking about how we can have a happier and a more spiritual 2025. Okay. And then and my first thought was, oh, this is what you've got to do, this is what you've got to do, and what you've got to do. And then I realized, no, it's back with the 3 principles again. Okay, so what I thought I would do is I would share the 3 principles again, and then share a couple of metaphors for you, and then discover that there are 2 ways of using the same mind. Not 2 minds, just 1 mind, and then we can all have a conversation together. Okay, and then as we do, then we can see how the 3 principles. If you were to have insight into those, that is what's going to help you to have a year of becoming more insightful, becoming calmer, becoming more knowledgeable, and nicer life all around. Okay. Is there anything you want to add to that, Keith?
No, I think that's a great introduction. I'm looking forward to it, to touching this truth again.
Okay, so I'm going to assume that everybody here had already had some kind of introduction to the 3 principles. If you haven't, there's a couple of recordings on our YouTube channel where you can find out more about it. So I'm going to assume that we've got a foundation already. Okay. So we have the principle of mind. Okay. I think of it as kind of like a container or a box or something enclosed. Okay. So the first thing I can learn just by this, without adding anything to it, is that so we've got an inside and an outside. Okay, this was quite helpful for me because I was thinking about what did it mean to go inside? What did it mean to look within? And I'm like, there's a clue here. Okay. Secondly, I can also say that there is a border or a boundary or whatever you want to call it, right? And that tells me if it's impermeable, whatever is inside cannot get out, and whatever is outside cannot get in. Okay, so that for me simplifies quite a lot. Okay, so it's a good starting point for me anyway. Okay, so I'm going to put POM to meaning the principle of mind. Okay. The principle of consciousness. Oh, sorry, I think somebody got their microphone not muted, so I'm just going to mute a couple of people. Okay, 1 moment. Okay, cool. So the principle of consciousness, I was wrestling with it for quite a while, and then I just gave up thinking about it because I didn't know how else to do it. And then I realized inadvertently that if this is a box, then a box has a volume. Okay, so I'm going to put in here POC, the principle of consciousness is the volume. It's not what occupies that volume, okay, but there is a volume. All right, so whatever you put into it, the consciousness will bring it to life. All right, so but that was helpful for me to see. So anything that goes inside that box is going to be part of your consciousness. Okay. And lastly, going to use the blue, no, a black pen for this one. One of my favorite quotes from Citibank about the principle of thought is that it is a mystical bridge that allows the formless to come into form. Okay, there is the bridge. It's not a if you think about what a bridge does, I mean, you've got a here's the bridge, right? So you've got something at point A, and the bridge allows something from point A to get to point B. Okay, it allows something to go from one side of a barrier or a hazard or something that cannot be crossed over, right? The bridge allowed us to do this. Okay, so in terms of the principle of thought, what we have is the formless. As you cross over the bridge, it becomes form. Okay, form meaning form, reality, feeling, experience, what you know, what you see, what you hear, anything about the human experience. Okay, and everything about the human experience. So do we now know that it works one way and we need a bridge to make that happen? Okay, so as a metaphor, very useful, but Citibank is talking about a mystical bridge. Okay, and I can't really describe it, but I can use the metaphor to point to it. So what can we do with this bridge? Okay, so we've got point A and the bridge and point B. Okay, so why don't we just put it in the box? Formless and the form. And we have the principle of thought that allows anything from the formless to come into form. And that is the entirety of the human experience. Everything you felt, the beautiful, the horrible, the wonderful to the disastrous, everything happened in here. So we've got the principle of mind, we have the principle of consciousness, and the principle of thought. And everything is inside this box. There is nothing outside the box. Okay? I want to share a metaphor. This came about on Christmas Day because my mother got me a book, but I can't show because it's something. But I got an alternative. So I got an ordinary Amazon box here. Okay, and this is just a metaphor, so don't take it literally, right? And in the box that I got, there was nothing in it, and I thought, was there supposed to be something in it? No, it was just a box. It's called a keepsake box. Okay, so with this box, right, if you can see that. So if I just open it here, right, open it up in one direction, we can see we've got the four edges, including the base and the top, all surrounded. Okay, so anything that's inside it cannot get out of the box, and anything outside cannot get inside. Okay, and we have a volume that is also constant and unchangeable because there's the volume it occupies and it never changes. It only changes by changed mind. but mind is also constant as well, so that doesn't change. The volume, all the space in it, is the principle of consciousness. Right? And we have this breath again. What we do is we put the breath in the box, and then if we close it all up and hear everything about who we really are as individuals, all contained with this box. It is a metaphor. So on Christmas Day, I told my sister, I found this book quite insightful. And not surprisingly, she thought, what am I talking about? How can you say the box is insightful? It's just a packing box. So I told her. Oh yeah, okay. So I told her that, well, I've got my phone here. Okay. If you think of this phone as the reality in which we now see, right, we often think of it as happening over here, outside the box. But once you realize that this phone is actually taking place inside the box, I'm going to close the box, right, magic happens. It is that one switch of realizing that everything about the human experience takes place inside the box, not outside. If you can find your own way of realizing that, wow, you're definitely going to have a magical 2025. The main reason why that is it's not sure how it works. I mean, we can see how it works. We can understand it. We can understand it intellectually or insightfully. But here's the thing. We have here the formless. What's the formless? Well, once again, I'm reminded of what Sticky Banks did to Keith. I think you might know what I'm referring to here, Keith. He asked you a question, what is the universe made of? Do you want to tell everybody about that story?
Yeah, well, I had watched a show on television, and it was about the seemingly unlimited nature of the universe, the planets, the quasars, the galaxies. And so I was thinking that that's what the universe is made of. And so I was talking to Sid about that, and he said to me, "Well, Keith, what do you think the universe is made of?" And I said, "Well, all these uh, planets and stars and quasars and galaxies." And I thought to myself, why is he asking me this? Because he's an enlightened man, and so I asked him, said, "Well, what is the universe made of?" And he said an answer that surprised me. He said, "Knowledge," and that just um, made me quit thinking about objects, and it made me think about in, in a way, it made me think about God. It made me think about everything, and it made me think about nothing. So that's the story.
Yeah, thank you, Keith. Right. So when Keith told me that about that conversation, even I was surprised too. I thought, well, the universe is so big. The universe is, I don't know if it's infinite or not. I don't know, and I'm thinking, there must be so much knowledge, an incredible amount of knowledge. And I suddenly realized I know so little of it, not about the universe, but how much knowledge I know of now. Right? So, so that was the dawning of understanding the enormity of it, to a point where I started to see the infinity of knowledge. Okay, so another way in which I literally understand the formless is that it's an ocean of knowledge, an infinite ocean of knowledge. Right? So, and I'm going, wow, there must be so much knowledge there that I would love to come to mind. Because if it did, then, well, I would get to learn something then, wouldn't I? Right, then I'm going, oh, is that what people say? You've got all the resources you need to have a nice life, that kind of thing. I'm going, well, actually, there's all this knowledge that's waiting to come to light. It's knowledge that's waiting to come to you. And thank goodness for the principle of thought, because we have knowledge that not yet come to light, and it comes through the principle of thought as a breath, and then it comes to us in form. Oh, and I'm seeing it all of a sudden. I'm hearing it all of a sudden. I'm feeling it all of a sudden. Okay. Oh, so that opened up another avenue of education for me. So, and I was thinking, oh, education, what I've learned from school, education as in learning from somebody else. And now Citibank is telling me that education, if you look within, if you look inside, and inside this book, there's another kind of education that you can, that's waiting for you to pick up the knowledge. Now, I don't know what knowledge is in there, but I do know that whatever knowledge comes from here into form is going to be helpful, practical, and it will do something beneficial for you, because it's a higher level of consciousness than where you are at. So then suddenly I'm like, I've got all this potential, and I've been spending all my life looking over there, looking over there, looking over here, looking over here, looking over here. And suddenly, have I really got all that potential? Yes. Now, the experience of Citibank enlightenment makes sense. I can't say what knowledge he picked up, but I'm pretty sure it came from the formula. And then he suddenly saw all this, everything, so much about the three principles, he was able to share it with us and point out to the way where he got it from. And the way he pointed out to where he got it from is not just that there is the formula, but we needed the principle of thought for something to come through. We need the principle of consciousness, so that what within us is the formless, the infinite ocean of knowledge, and that we can have experiences as reality, the feeling, what we see, what we hear, state of mind, you name it. Right? And it all takes place in the principle of mind. I'm not talking about your mind. I'm talking about the principle of mind. That is within you. If you find that in your own way, nobody can tell you how to do it. I mean, I found it, but even I cannot explain how I found it. It's impossible. But it's definitely within each and every one of us. Okay? So I'm thinking the simplicity of it all, and I'm going, wow, is it really that simple? Right. And yet it is the formless, that what made my mind get quieter. That what made me a better listener. That made me have nicer feelings. That allowed me to see with more depth, with more understanding, with more love. Before I was thinking, let me see if I've got it. Yes, I've got it here. Right. I don't know if you've seen this thing I've got here. I have what's called a, wait a minute, I need to untangle her legs. Right. I have here a marionette. I think that's how it's pronounced. Right. So, so you can see that there are 2 arms and 2 legs, all controlled by a string to a wooden piece of string at the top. So I can make it do a little dance like this. Okay, I'm not going to do any singing. I'm not trying to put you off. Okay, so now before I was thinking, well, if I want to become mentally healthy, I need to look at this that it's like a branch of knowledge on its own. If I want to become more loving, I need to look at this leg. How do I become more loving? What do I need to do? That kind of thing. If I want to become more understanding, I need to look at the other leg, at that kind of thing. If I want to be more confident, I need to look at this leg and so on. Right? And it made sense to do that until when I saw this, I realized that these arms and legs, right, must have a string attached to the one central part that controls everything. Okay. So once I started looking in the direction of this part here, I realized I don't need to do anything with the rest of that because this controls this. When you see the formless is present within mind, bear in mind it's all before form, right? And it comes into form. We're on to something. Okay. So I'm grateful for Citibank for making the 3 principles and every experience we could go through hugely simplified. Because I mean, yes, there are 2 arms and 2 legs, but really I ended up with one person with about 37 arms and 42 legs. So now I just have this one cross, just one cross. That's it. Heat.
I was reminded of something that said once, there's nothing outside that can hurt you. There's nothing outside that can help you because there is no outside. And I think putting this truth within, it's the last place, the story goes, it's the last place people look within. It's not within the body. It's within the nature of existence itself. And so that's what I was reminded of. And I appreciate you putting it in the way you have, Brett. Thank you.
Yeah. So 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 to put everything inside was surprisingly helpful because it took away all these ideas of all these elements that in my reality being the cause of why I'm doing the way I'm doing at the moment, why I'm feeling this way, why am I having this reality, and what's wrong with this, how it could be better, or even about me, what's wrong with me, there's something wrong with me, that kind of, I didn't need to do that anymore because everything is a creation of what went through the bricks. Everything. Everything you see is the creation of what went through the bricks. Everything you hear is the creation of what went through the bricks. Everything you feel is the creation of what went through the bricks. Everything you experience is the creation of what went through the bricks. In fact, there is nothing about being human that didn't go through this bricks. Nothing. And then suddenly all this idea of a power outside, because there is no outside. There's only one place left where the power is. inside, and now you can have it all. You have the power within. Okay. So I've shared this box as a metaphor. I've shared this how it works. This is also a metaphor because you won't find truth on my whiteboard or however I draw it. Truth is inside. Okay, so I'm going to share one more metaphor now. Okay, something I suspect most of you are familiar with. So, okay, so I'm trying to draw a projector here. Okay, so I call this the cinema metaphor. Okay, so so let's say we want to go and watch a film, and then we go to the cinema, right? So we buy a ticket, and then we take our seat in one of the rooms, that kind of thing. But so in the room where we're going to sit, we have this screen, okay, so we can watch the film, okay? But that's not the only room that we go to, because there is another room before where the projector is, right? And I call this room the room where all the films are stored. Okay. Now I don't know what the films are, but that's where it comes from. Okay. And we have this projector where what we do is we put a film through it, and then the projector plays it onto the screen. Okay. But here's the thing, right? We have here the cinema room, very much akin to the principle of thought. Right? We also have that the whole thing takes place in the room that you go to, or the consciousness, if you like. So everything is taking place within that, where the film is taking place. And lastly, we also have the projector, which represents the principle of thought. Okay, so suddenly, I mean, I don't know how many times you've been to the cinema, but to realize that this using the cinema as a metaphor for the principle is actually quite powerful. The principle of mind, or the cinema itself, is constant and unchangeable. Consciousness stays within the room where the film is being played. And we also have the projector, constant and unchangeable, but what you put into it changes. Okay? So as I said with this one, I said, whatever's inside stays inside, and whatever's outside stays outside. Just like this film we're playing, right? Any film we're playing stays inside the cinema. It doesn't get projected outside into the world. And everything inside stays inside, and there's nothing outside that can get in the way of you watching the film, which is why the rooms are all dark. It stopped all the contaminants. So as a metaphor, I think it is terrific. So we've got this as a metaphor, we've got bot as the same metaphor, and we've got the cinema metaphor. They're all exactly the same. It's whether you can hear it beyond what I'm saying. So you are, in effect, a walking cinema everywhere you go, but nobody else can see the cinema within you. So why don't you play some beautiful films? There are people that I see and they're going, not realizing they're playing a film that they don't want to play, but they keep it going and going and going because they don't realize it's taking place in a state. That's the only reason. The moment they realize it takes place inside, the form that you have, it becomes superseded by the formless, because that is more intelligent than what you know. Always. When you pick up something from here, that's going to elevate your level of consciousness. Sometimes a little bit, sometimes whoo, whoo, like steady bank proves. And we all have that same capacity. We are all walking potential new steady banks. So those are the three things I wanted to talk about. The simplicity of how it works using three principles terminology. I've used the book to say it in another way, maybe a user-friendly language, I don't know, something relatable perhaps. And I'm using it in my metaphor, right? And as I said, to realize it, you won't find it in this, you won't find it in this, you won't find it in the book. They're all metaphors, and metaphors take place here. Okay? For you to realize the metaphor is to go before you understood the metaphor. Therefore, insight doesn't come from a metaphor. It might point you to it, but the insight itself cannot give you a metaphor. So don't overthink it. Eight.
I'm reminded of something that really helped me. That was on a recording of Sid's once, and he said, um, he had been a little bit stymied by someone asking a question in the audience, and he said, you know, a good question to ask if you have to ask a question. So if you have to ask a question, so, and everybody kind of giggled in the group because they thought, well, he's telling us what question to ask. And he said, don't ask a question about the small you, about your issues or your problems or your thinking. Not that, he said, not that. That's where the illusion is. He said, don't identify with that. Um, ask about what you are. What does spiritual mean? Not about the small you. He said um, that doesn't matter at all. Um, if you ask a question from the truth, you'll hear, you'll have a proper foundation for your um, wondering about life. Um, and again, he said, not the small you. And for some reason, that really helped me, and it helps me again and again and again, because I get to thinking about me, my small problems, my world. But if I ask a question about this this greater me, the greater life, I drop that exploration into the illusion, And I used my mind in a way that it was intended to do, to be a receiver, not a broadcaster, not a ruminator, not a worrier, not a judger, not that small me, but in a way of reflecting, listening, being open, going beyond the illusion of my ego. And you know what? That always clears my head. And my hell goes away, and I have peace of mind again. And I have, you know what I find is what was inside Brett's box. I find nothing. And that nothingness is truth. But people don't want to look in their box in a way and find nothing. They're a little bit, I don't know, maybe a little bit afraid or a little bit, but that's what everybody's looking for is nothing. It's not a nothing that's empty. It's a nothing that's full with the universe and all its in all its glory, but not of things. It's full of spirit. It's full of blessings for me and for you. And that's the simplicity of the principles to point, in my mind, to point you in this direction away from our misunderstanding and our problems. I thought psychology was devoted to problems, but now I realize the psychology of the future, which is what Brett and I are talking about, and the three principles we're talking about, is a mind that's um, free, peaceful, and not as an advice, but as a truth. It encapsulates the whole of it all. It's not small-minded. It's forever minded. And again, Sid was a great truth teller in this way too. He would say you have to find this for yourself. You can't just uh, put words on it. The words of the past, the words of good advice. It won't really be enough. You're looking for the unknown, but don't be afraid. The unknown is not fearsome. Um, it's nothing, and it brings you to the now. And the now is where you're you find you go beyond your past and go beyond your ego and go beyond your little beliefs and concepts and ideas. And again, um, we can point to this, but you get to take the journey. It's a simple journey. It's just you're just one thought away from it. But quit looking in the small and look 180 degrees the other way, and you'll find what you're looking for. Brett?
Yeah. Thank you, Keith. So, though Keith spoke about big mind and small mind, maybe, I don't know if I've got this right, but this is my understanding. What if, you know, this area here is before creation, and this area here is after creation. Those are the words that he mentions. But what if big mind and small mind. Is there another way of saying the same thing? Right. So now we're all very habitually directing to looking in the small mind, meaning what we know, but to look in the big mind means to look before creation. So you can't use this as a basis to go there. Right. This is what Stephen Bank meant by you can't take anything with you because this has already been created. And the only things you can take with you are what's been created. But if you can find your own way not to take anything with you, then you're opening yourself up to this. And therefore you will get the rewards from this. But keep in mind, big mind and small mind is still words or ideas that take place within the principle of mind. There's nothing comparable to the principle of mind. Though the big mind is not the principle of mind. It's just means all the knowledge that hasn't been realized or come to light yet. So that's one way of looking at it, perhaps. Another thing that surprised me was the idea of who I am. Right? So I was thinking, right, if this is who I am, well, then I'm obviously seeing it. I'm obviously hearing it. I'm obviously observing it in some way. Not with my eye, but I'm observing it. Okay, and I thought, no, if I can see it, it must be in creation. It must have been created. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to see it. Okay, so I thought, well, here's what me. I thought this is who I am. You know, all the ideas about who I am, that kind of thing. This Braid's not a really nice person. This Braid's not a very creative thing. He doesn't have much resilience. He got really rubbish hearing, but I'm profoundly deaf. So these are all ideas about who I am. But once I realized that who I am was here, and I'm going, why am I making so much out of what's already been created? It doesn't make sense. I'd rather allow a space for something from this library or the infinite ocean of knowledge to come to this. And when that happened, who I thought I was superseded by the intelligence of the unknown. So who am I now? I don't care anymore. I mean, yes, I am profoundly deaf in the physical, but I'm not deaf in the psychological. Because whatever thought comes to mind, I'm going to see the effects of it. I'm going to hear the effects of that. I'm going to feel the effects of that. So psychologically, there's no such thing as a deaf person or a blind person, which is why if you look in the missing link, it says, like the deaf person, you will hear. Like the blind person, you will see. So we're not talking about the physical, we're talking purely psychological, purely spiritual. And yes, we have physical, we have a body, right? But we know that because we can see it. Which means what we see of ourselves has to happen through thoughts so we can see ourselves. So we don't need to make all these ideas about ourselves anymore. I remember many people telling me, this is who you are, your love, your understanding, you're creative, you're confident, you're beautiful, that kind of thing. And I agree with it. But I couldn't realize it. Somebody told me to listen to my heart, and I did. Do you know what I heard? Bop, 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 bop. Right? So there's something wrong with, so I knew something wasn't quite right. There's something, I was missing a trick here, right? Because I was listening in the form. I wasn't listening for the voice for something to come through. If I'm listening to form, that is an inadvertent way of basically stopping the breath from doing what it's supposed to do. And therefore, all I have is this. I can't use anything from the infinite. And therefore, that's all I can work with. But as soon as we have that breath again, and that's when new knowledge, higher knowledge will come through the breath, and to you, do you become the beneficiary of something more intelligent than what you know in this moment. So who am I? I don't know. I'm just grateful to know the principle that there's this knowledge, and that's what I'm interested in. But I also know I can't go there directly. I have to intuitively, I don't know how to describe it again, just in your own way. There has to be the bridge. I think the closest word I can think of is faith. Not faith in what I know, but faith that there is a bridge that allows the unknown to come to the known. So have fun with the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Bring on all the goods. Bring on all the knowledge. I mean, why wouldn't you want it? Okay. Okay. One more thing I'd like to share about this, and this is more to do with beyond time, space, and matter. Okay. So, so all these metaphors I shared with you are obviously metaphors, but they're also not physical. Okay, not physical, which means that the formless and the form have nothing physical about them. It is purely spiritual, right? So this is all spiritual energy. Okay, what that is, I can't tell you. That's something you have to discover for yourself. Right? But if it's not physical, then we can say it's not material. It is not biological either. Okay, so all your forms, in particular reality, everything in your reality is not matter, it's not biological, it's not physical, it's not material. It only appears that way. If you can realize that everything you've seen in your entire life was not physical, but it only appeared that way, then, oh, that's what's going on. Okay, you see, when you have that principle of thought, then the forms that you go through must be spiritual. There's nothing fixed, there's nothing concrete, there's nothing solid. Okay, which means it's very easy to change when you need it to. But when you take away the principle of thought, well, guess what? It becomes, as if it is physical. It becomes solidified, it becomes concretized. Well, try changing that when it's already been turned into concrete. You're going to need a hell of a drill to break it all down into parts. But when you have the principle of thought, and now you know what the realities you're going through is actually made of, that same drill, you thought that would help you. It wouldn't do anything because there's nothing there to drill apart.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how our form can change much more rapidly. It's much more dynamic than I thought it was. Okay. So now I can say everything in here. So where was that? Okay, so we've got all this, and it's not matter. So now we've got this idea of beyond matter. Beyond matter. Okay. The reason why we say beyond matter is because we thought here was matter, but now that we have these principles, we've gone beyond matter. Because we're now not dealing with matter, we're dealing with the spiritual. So we're going beyond matter. We're jumping beyond the boundaries of matter. Does that make sense? So if we go beyond matter, once again, you're allowing room for this to happen because you've got the principle of don't include. Okay. Okay. So does this create all the reality we've ever had in our life and all the reality that we're going to have for the rest of our life? Okay, so, but there's something happening in the moment, every moment, always. So I'm having a reality now, and so are you. And right now I've got a reality. And right now I've got a reality. Right now I have a reality. Right now I have a reality. Right now I've got a reality. It's just an ongoing movie, if you like. I mean, we have a movie here, right? And it just keeps playing and playing and playing and playing without ever taking a break. I mean, we have this moving even when we're asleep. We call them dreams. There is still storm happening with that. Okay, so there's a sense of this is live all the time. So it's happening in the moment. And there's another way to describe that, which is beyond time. This doesn't take place in time. This is taking place all the time, every moment. And lastly, where is this taking place? Well, it's inside. It's like it's not taking place inside. And I know this thought is taking place in space, but if I use this, you won't find it. But it's inside. And inside is not in space. It's not here. It's not over there. It's not up there. It's not down there. It's not in space. There is inside, beyond space, beyond time, space, matter. So we are spiritual beings having spiritual experiences, right? Beyond time, space, and matter, suspended within the boundaries of time, space, and matter. And this is the only way we can be. This is where being takes place. So each and every one of you, wow, well, I can see that you're living beyond time, space, and matter. Now, whether you see that for yourself or not, I don't know. I can't, because I have my own reality, that kind of thing. So beyond time, space, and matter. We can talk more about that starting tomorrow. We have a program called Beyond Time, Space and Matter, Kate and I. So if you're interested, to go to our website, you can stand up with the 5-part program. So we're going to go into it in more detail, that kind of thing. Okay. Hey. It's nice to see you beyond time, space and matter.
It's nice to be beyond time, space, and matter. It's very, very welcoming. I don't know what else to say, but thank you. You told them about our program beginning tomorrow at, I believe it's noon Pacific. Is that correct, Brett? And gee, I'm looking forward to it. I really am, and I hope I hope I hope everybody got something out of this. I certainly did, and I really appreciate what you shared with us, Brett. And I
One
appreciate
more
this.
thing. something. So the title of this webinar was word to the effect of how do you make yourself the best year you've ever had? Okay. Ultimately, for me, this is just virtually speaking. As the more you allow this to come into this, forget the word, it's process, it's the mechanism, I don't know, it's just a knowing, I guess. The more you allow this to happen, that's what's going to give you a more intelligent year, a wiser year, more knowledgeable year, a quieter mind year, a more insightful year, everything good, everything virtuous. So this and the principle of that at the bridge, meaning it's not your thought or my thought or his thought or her thought or that thought or good thought or whatever. It's the principle of that. It's constant, it's neutral, it's unchanging, it's pre-existent and universal. Okay. So we are looking in the direction of principle and not the personal. The more you recognize the principle in your own way, not really a recognizing, but it's I'm reminded of a metaphor that the person told me about. It's like having a compass, right? And on that compass, it's not east, west, and south. It is outside and inside. That's all there is. And it's just one flip and one flip and one flip and one flip. That's all there is to it. I don't know how to describe it, but that's the effect. If you can find that compass, it's not a compass, but it's a metaphor. If you find that within yourself, you're going to have a ton of fun. You're going to have your level of consciousness will keep going up and up and up and up. Because you're letting this come through the bridge. The bridge doesn't need a border guard saying, oh, give me your passport. Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry, I can't let you in the country. Go back to where you come from. No, we're not going. No, there isn't one. There's no need for one. Let it come through. Let it come through. I think I'm done, Keith.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
If anybody else online would like to ask anything, something they've heard, any insights, anything new, I'm curious to know if anything occurred to you.
Hi, Brett.
Hello.
Hello. It's Martin's missus here. I've been listening I've been listening sort of in the sidelines while I've been doing this, and I'm getting the fact that what you might be talking about to me is the fact that it's like an invisible space, and there's like an electric pulse. You can't see it, but there's a and it's a flash, and the formless goes right into the form, and that sends your thinking or your whatever thoughts coming through or whatever insights are coming through. It's a thought or whatever, it is just coming through, and you're only going to block it not with your passport thing, what you've been saying, but blocking it with your own personal thoughts. Have I got that right? There you are. Right, you can go back to Miss. I'll carry on. See you later.
See you tomorrow. Brilliant.
I remember, thank you for that. I remember, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Something said that it must, anything new that comes to this world must come through or from the original mind. And when the original mind shows it, the mind of man simply builds it. Like you're building your knitting there in your hands. So ideas, insights, who knows where they come from, but they come from original mind. And then when you see them, you experience them and you share them and you live them. But that's the nature of this creation. And all we could do is be humbled by it. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? Want to say anything?
Hi.
Hi.
I've never thought about wisdom in this way before, but what's occurring to me by the diagram is that when we say listen to your wisdom, follow your wisdom, what we're saying is we're hearing directly from mind through the principle of thought. Would that be correct? Yeah.
Yeah,
Never thought about it in that way before. Thank you.
that's wonderful. Yeah, that's one way to describe it in my vernacular too, Bonnie. Thank you.
Something about it that makes it a non-doing.
Say it again, Britt. What's the last words?
There's something about it that makes it a non-doing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A receiving
Yeah.
or a, yeah.
When I hear people need to listen to wisdom, and I mean I fell for it myself too, and I'm going, okay, I've got to listen. Where do I find it? How do I get there? How do I do all these how-tos? But please this then it's already there, and but then I'm like, I don't need a how-to anymore. It takes away the prescriptions, or I prefer to call it mental prescriptions. And boy, didn't that take a lot off the mind.
Yeah. Tremendous.
And obviously we have beyond time, space and matter. There's beyond time. Yeah, okay. We have the now, and beyond matter we have the true identity. And beyond space is, no, maybe it doesn't matter we say, and this just does the ocean of knowledge. I remember thinking, oh, I've got to be in the now, I've got to be present. And I turn it into, oh, this is what I've got to do to be present, this is what I've got to do to be in the now. There's obviously a book called The Power of Now. But once you realize there's the principle, it's like you've read not just that book, but 1,000 other books about the now in one instant. Wow. and true identity, no people say this is who I am. It's not here. My true identity is here, in the formless, before creation. That's why I don't need to think it anymore. I remember a few years ago, somebody talked about finding your voice. Oh boy, I was trying to come up with a voice. And now look, why would I? The voice has already been made for me. That's what pre-existing means. It's already there, waiting for you to be a recipient of it. So thank you for that, Bonnie. That was really nice.
Yeah, thank you, Bonnie. May I say too, Sydney Banks was just absolutely insistent on this difference that Bonnie and Brett are pointing up to. He would, like he said, I wish everybody in the world meditated. I really do, but don't get caught up in it. Don't get caught up in the ritual. So right there, you're listening to this wise man saying, it's you can get caught up in doing meditation, not living meditatively. And there's all the difference in the world in that. And so he was a very keen teacher for all of us about, and he would tell people, you're trying to figure it out. Don't try to figure it out. Please, he says, it's just a cosmic joke to try. And don't fall for the joke, although you probably will. I have millions of times, but it's still a joke. But he was a keen, absolutely discerner for all of us to look in this direction. And all of his recordings, all of his books, they all exemplify that certainty that he had about this way to use the mind in a way that would bless you freely, without penance, or without doing anything. It's there for all of us. Well, all I know to do is say thank you for your attendance today, and Brett's diagrams and teaching and words. I've really enjoyed it. And thank you very much, and thank all the town that came to share with us today. Thank you all. God bless.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you all for coming, and I wish you a very beautiful, happy new year. Hope you have lots of beautiful feelings and realities. And we'll see you down the road. Okay, so take care, everyone. God bless.
Thank you.
God bless. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.